not even trying anymore. There's no illusion anymore. There's no hiding it anymore. They're not even lying to our faces anymore. They're just telling us what it is now. They these people are fucking demons. They're evil. They're awful. I got a couple videos I want to talk about here, and we'll start with this first one from my favorite person, Larry Fink. I love BlackRock. We're gonna listen to Larry here talk about what his big fear for his data centers is, because I bet he has a reason to have a fear for his data centers. Let's listen. Larry Fink of
But
BlackRock.
now, because of drone warfare, we have to relook at all forms of security and the need for rebuilding the GCC region
Face off.
to rebuild it so that it could be in a position where it's not going to be obstructed by drone warfare. So many more things are going to have to be underground. But even here in the United States, if we're going to be building, let's say, these 1 gigawatt data centers, how do we make sure we're not protecting those $50 billion, $75 billion investments? We have to relook at everything because of the role of drone warfare. Right now, we're looking at it internationally, but one of my concerns is, could it be a domestic terrorism using a $3,000 drone? So all of these things.
Man, that's an odd thing to say, Larry Fink. Why are you concerned with domestic terrorism going after your data center? Maybe it's because they're massively unpopular. Could it be a domestic terrorist using a $3,000 drone? Maybe people think that your fucking data centers are fucking wrong, and maybe people think they don't want their jobs taken away or their fucking bills to increase through the roof, like their power bill and their water to be made unsafe to drink by your data center. Maybe that's why someone might target it. Not because they're a terrorist, Larry, you fucking scum. No, it's not that. But if that's not enough, let's listen to Kevin O'Leary call people fucking Chinese spies for fucking opposing a data center. Opposing a data center that is larger than the city of fucking Manhattan. The island of Manhattan, I guess. Manhattan's not necessarily its own city, is it? I'm not sure how New York works. Regardless, this data center Kevin O'Leary wants to make is a fucking, I think it's 3 times the size of Manhattan or something like that. I don't know. Regardless, it's giant.
It's also a cell operating inside of Utah. Elevate Strategies, also a cell operating inside of Utah.
When he says a cell, he's talking about a cell of Chinese spies.
Gabby Finlayson. Gabby, what are you doing? And who's paying you?
Well, hi, hello. It's me, Gabby Finlayson. What am I doing? Apparently, we've reached the part of the Stratos data center journey where Kevin O'Leary goes on national Fox News to accuse us of being cells for the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, who would want us to stop building our electrical grid? Which adversary would want that? There's only...
Okay, now I want to pause and take a second to say, Kevin O'Leary is not an American. He's a Canadian. So when he says we're building our, he's going to say this over and over again. Our. It's not ours. You don't have a claim to it, fuckface. You're a Canadian. Go back to worshiping your great fucking maple leaf or whatever the fuck you people do. Stay out of my country, you scum.
One, it's China. So what I think is happening, and I got my guys to go a deep dig into the IP addresses, and here's what we found out. This is fascinating. We found 2 cells inside of Utah. Elevate Strategies. Gabby Finlayson. Gabby, what are you doing? And who's paying you? So what I'm doing right now is, after getting this data, I'm calling out Gabby, operating in Utah.
So, hi, Kevin.
You're such a deranged fucking lunatic that you called this woman out by name to fucking roast her on Fox News or whatever the fuck your plan was, to try to earn the favor of the people, I guess. I don't know what his plan was here, but all it's done is make him look like a total fucking piece of shit. But the thing is, right, the rest of this isn't really important, okay? It's not. The point here is, they keep saying, you oppose data centers. What are you, a terrorist? You oppose data centers. What do you hate America? This is the same rhetoric we heard if you oppose the global war on terror. Now, I'm old enough to remember the GWAT. I'm old enough to remember at least the last decade of it. At the beginning of it, I was fairly little, and I don't remember. But I've got one more video I want to show you of the same wording, the same rhetoric being used. I've got one more video I want to show you, and it's just as concerning as these other two, except this one is regarding not data centers, but flock cameras. And if you don't know what flock cameras are, they are those black cameras on light poles and whatnot. Some of them have their own little support pole thing. And they track, trace, and database everything you do. They're marketed as license plate readers, but that is in fact not what they are. They have facial recognition, AI. They track, trace, and database your vehicle. For example, this is the example I love to give because I'm someone who modifies vehicles. My wife's car, I need to put a trailer hitch on it so that we can tow our trailer. Pretty simple concept, right? When I put a trailer hitch on her car and I drive past a flock camera, say I drive past a flock camera every day on the way to work. Say I take her car to work and I drive past the same flock camera every day. When I drive past that flock camera on Friday and the trailer hitch is not there, it's going to take a picture. It's going to database that. When I drive past on Monday and the trailer hitch is there, it's going to take a picture and database that car now has a trailer hitch. It's going to database my information. If I walk down the street, it's going to read my face, my facial structure, my facial features. It might not know who I am, but it has the image of my face and my facial structure. So let's listen to, I believe it's the CEO of Flock, call the owners of the DFlock website terrorists. And what the DFlock website is, it's a website that shows you where the flock cameras are and what routes to take to avoid them, because some people don't like warrantless spying. Let's listen.
And that, I think, is unfortunate because we don't want chaos, or I don't want chaos. I like law and order. And then, unfortunately, there's terroristic organizations like DFlock.
Terroristic organizations like DFlock. All DFlock is a website that shows you where the flock cameras are.
Whose primary motivation is chaos. They are closer to Antifa than they are anything else. And that, I think, is unfortunate because we don't want chaos, or I don't want chaos. I like law and order. I like a society that has a bedrock of safety. So for those groups, I think it's just disappointing that they haven't chosen a more constructive mannerism to try to get what they want.
Let me translate what Twinkie McTwinkerson here is trying to say. I don't like people that don't do what I say. So I made a company where I can snitch on everybody for whatever I want to snitch on them for, so that I have all the power, because I'm a little fucking bitch and I can't do anything about it myself. And if you don't like that, well, I have to call you a name that most people are going to think is a bad thing. And most people remember the global war on terror. So I'm going to use the word terrorist because that's the word we use to describe all our enemies. I'm better than you.
Which they have a right to have. But that's why we have a democratically elected process, right? Like we're not forcing Flock on anyone.
Fuck, you aren't, because I got a video that proves that you are.
Elected officials know that as a community, you want to be safe. As a family, you want to be safe. And Flock is the best way to create a safe community.
Flock is the best way to track, trace, and database everything you do, regardless of whether you want it done or not.
I'm not sure DFlock would agree with the terroristic label that you put on them, but okay.
And then
shout out to that dude for at least calling them out. Now let's listen to what flock cameras actually are, because this man speaks the truth. I'm sorry for the terrible quality. It's a low quality video, but let's listen to what this fella has to say. Does he have a name in here? No. Okay, but shout out this guy anyways.
Introduce DFlock Corona, a community coalition asking this council to cancel the city's contract with Flock Safety and remove the cameras that have been deployed throughout our city. Our website is dflock-corona.org. I'm here because new Flock cameras were recently installed between my home and my daughter's school. So now every time I make that drive, my family's being photographed and logged into a giant corporate database.
Okay, so most people will be like, what's the big deal, right? Okay, your family's being photographed. Who cares? A lot of states are single single party consent states, you can record people. It's not a big deal, is it? The problem is you can't database someone's day-to-day routine. You're stalking at that point. These flock cameras are more akin to mini stalkers that live on everybody's street corner than a safety measure. But let's continue.
I want to be clear what these cameras actually are, and I say that with somebody with 20 years of experience in IT. I've served as the chief network architect for Fortune 500 companies. I've designed data centers, and today I work on cloud infrastructure for one of the largest loan origination companies in the country. I'm not speculating on how this technology works. I've read their patents, and I know how it works. Flock advertises these cameras as simple license plate readers. Their own patents tell a different story. They're AI-powered surveillance machines that capture every passing vehicle and person and transmit that data to a private corporate cloud, making it queryable by a multitude of state and federal agencies.
Okay, so right off the rip, Flock's lying about what they're doing. They've got AI in these things that's track, tracing, databasing everything you do, and then they're selling it to state and federal police agencies. They're selling it to the FBI, they're selling it to the CIA, they're selling it to the fucking Cleveland Police Department, whatever. They're selling it to anyone who will buy it. This is warrantless spying. Let's continue.
The city of Corona does not control that database, and Corona residents have no public record rights against a private company's servers.
So right there, you can't FOIA these, by the way. This is a private company holding all these images, and they're the only ones that have access. You can't FOIA this. It's not shareable information. It's private information. That's a big problem.
Our daily movements are being harvested by a $7.5 billion corporation that only answers to venture capital investors, not to us. Flock did not reach that valuation on their per camera subscription fees. That math doesn't add up. The city council should also understand who they're doing business with. Flock's CEO was asked whether the company had any federal contracts. He said no, that was a lie. Public records revealed that Flock had been secretly running a pilot program giving the U.S. Border Patrol access to local police camera data without the knowledge of the cities that paid for the cameras.
Okay, so Flock's going behind the city's back and doing whatever they want. They have a higher valuation than what the cost of the cameras is. They're tracking and databasing everything you're doing, and you don't have access to it. Are you starting to see the problem here?
Now consider who's behind the company and where your data flows. Flock integrates directly with Palantir, a data fusion platform with a $30 million contract with ICE. Peter Thiel, the founder of Palantir, is also one of Flock's primary investors. These are not separate companies with separate agendas. They're connected actors that are building a connected infrastructure. Palantir's own CEO stated publicly just this month that his technology is being used as a political instrument designed to reduce the political power of certain voters. And that's the ecosystem that our Corona cameras are feeding into.
Okay, so they're using the information they're gathering from these cameras to influence elections, is what he's saying. I don't know how they're doing that. I don't know if it's through targeted advertising. I don't know if it's through smear campaigns targeted in certain areas, if they're monitoring the number of pro-Democrat, pro-Republican bumper stickers. I don't know how they're getting this information, but they're getting enough information from these cameras to try to manipulate election outcomes.
We're not anti-police at all. We're against mass surveillance of innocent residents by a company with a documented record of deception, built by investors with a stated political agenda. We're asking the city council to start auditing the queries made against Flock's database, to disclose any data sharing agreements, and to take a vote to cancel the Flock safety contract.
Okay, so this guy's saying, my city should cancel these because they're lying frequently, they're real fucking shady here, and they're using this information for their own good. They're using this information for their own political agenda. That's not what this is even marketed as. This is marketed as a license plate reader. And I can prove to you that these cameras are not being used for what they say they're being used for. My wife was in an accident. There's a Flock camera near where the accident happens. The flock camera, instead of being at a regular T intersection, or I'm sorry, instead of being at the, I guess you could call it the more dangerous intersection, is just sitting at a regular T intersection and doesn't see the accident occur. The flock camera isn't there for your safety and my safety, because if it was there, it would be monitoring that intersection that is more dangerous, but instead it's sitting at a regular T intersection. It's not sitting at the more dangerous intersection, which is the one where my wife got in the accident, because it's a more dangerous intersection. Of course, logically, there should be, if we're putting these flock cameras out for public safety, logically there should be a camera there. No? No. We're putting these cameras out to track, trace, and database every single thing you do. I'll give you another example. There's a road I take to work. A company has managed to close this road. The detour forces you, there is no other detour to go around this. The detour forces you to drive down a section of road that has a flock camera on it. This road wasn't purchased by this company. This company has no right to close this road down. However, somehow they got permission by the city I drive through to shut down this road where there is no flock camera and force a detour, and there is no way to avoid this flock camera on this detour. I want to make a point here. We have BlackRock. We have, what's his name? I'm blanking on the name. Kevin O'Leary. And we have Jason Bassler. These three companies, two of them are data center companies. One of them is Flock. And they're all saying the same thing about people who are against them. Oh, these are terrorists. Oh, these are spies. These are Chinese agents. These are whatever the buzzword is. It's all the same. Okay? It's all the same. The names are a little bit different, but like Bon Jovi said, it's all the same, only the names are changed. It is the same thing. They're saying the same thing. Oh, well, we're afraid that domestic terrorists are going to attack our data center. Why? Why are you afraid that domestic terrorists might attack your data center? Maybe because it's hugely unpopular. Maybe because the people in that area don't want their electric bill to skyrocket and go up 75%. Maybe because the people in that area don't want their fresh water polluted by your data center that at most will employ maybe 100 people, I think is what the largest data centers employ. About 100 people. Why would we not want data centers? Well, because with data centers comes more AI, comes more flock, comes more information harvesting. And I don't have a problem with people learning. I don't have a problem with observation, right? I love learning new things. I love watching people do things when they're really good at something. I have a problem with warrantless spying, and I have a problem with these elite billionaires that are then saying, if you don't agree with my view, you're a terrorist. You don't want a data center in your neighborhood because it would be a massive detriment to you and your way of life. You must be a terrorist because this data center is going to give me so much more control over your life. It won't be funny. And you don't want that? You must be a terrorist. These cameras that I put up that I'm the only one that has access to, unless I sell you a subscription. And I only sell these subscriptions to federal agencies and law enforcement, by the way. So I'm not even doing this as out of the good of my own heart. I'm doing this to make money off the police department so that they can try to use these things for good. But in reality, what I'm going to do is I'm going to database every single thing that you do on a daily basis so that I can build a profile on you. Why am I building a profile on you? Well, in some cases, maybe I want to see how you vote. Maybe I want to see where you work so I can decide, well, maybe you work in a steel mill. Maybe you're a more conservative kind of guy. Well, how can I push my Democrat agenda in your conservative neighborhood where 6 out of the 10 people work at the steel mill or at the auto shop? I'm willing to bet these people are more conservative, generally speaking. You know, you get construction workers, you get car mechanics, you get steel mill workers, these generally tend to be more conservative people. They can tell how you vote based on where you work most of the time. Are there liberals that work in steel mills? Yes. I'm not saying everyone that works in a steel mill is a conservative or everyone that works in an office is a liberal. But I'm saying they can make generalizations off of, well, where does this person work? Well, there's a certain route I could take to my job where I pass about 6 flock cameras. Instead, I take a different route. It's about 5 minutes longer, but I pass 0 flock cameras. Why do I do this? Well, because I don't want to be databased. I don't want to be tracked and traced every day. When I was driving my vehicle to work, and I drove past these cameras every day, they databased every single day that I drove to work. They could figure out how much money I made. If they could figure out my hourly rate, which maybe they can, maybe they can't, I don't know. If they could figure out my hourly rate and how far away I worked, they could figure out how much money I made per day. This is an overstep on unwarranted spying. These data centers are huge. They strain our electrical grid. They strain our our fresh water supply, because these data centers need a massive amount of water to cool them. They need a massive amount of electricity to run them. And who ends up fronting the bill? You and I end up fronting that bill. These data centers run up the cost of electricity, and in some cases, I forget where the town is, but there's a town whose electricity supplier has basically said, fuck you guys, this data center is willing to pay me way more than I can get out of you guys, so I'm just going to provide the data center with electricity, and the rest of you guys are on your own. You're going to have to figure something else out. The power supplier is no longer providing power to this certain city come 2027. I forget what city it is. It's not a huge, it's not like Nashville, but it's a decent sized town from what I remember hearing. But they're just cutting a whole town off. Like, yeah, no, you get no energy from us. My point in all this is, it's going too far, and they're not even lying to you anymore. They're just straight up telling you it's my globalist agenda or nothing, and if you don't like it, you're a terrorist. Well, what do you think is going to happen when Jason Bassler, the flock guy, is in charge of everything, and he says, well, this person posted on Twitter or on X that they think flock cameras should be done away with. Well, this person lives here. I can find this person's address because it's FOIA, and now I can watch them go to and from work every day. I'm going to database everything that person does, and I'm going to target that person specifically. And I'm going to, if their turn signal's out, if they don't use their turn signal, if their brake light's burned out, I'm going to report them to the police for every single thing they do. Do I think that's probable? No. But you get my point. It becomes way more terrifying when you realize the potential that these flock cameras have for spying on you and building a case on you. It becomes way more terrifying when you realize that there are energy suppliers that are willing to cut off an entire city because BlackRock has an unlimited amount of money to give them so that they can run this data center, so that they can push AI, so that it can destroy your jobs even further. This is absolutely terrifying. And they're not stopping. They don't care. They want the AI. They want the AI revolution. They want the warrantless spying. They want your life to be destroyed, because the end goal, no matter who it is, doesn't change. You will live in the pod. You will eat the bugs. You will own nothing, and you will be happy. And that is exactly what these people want. The attacks on masculinity. If you work out, you're a white supremacist. Do you remember that one from COVID? Because I do. I do. If you go to the gym, it's to oppress black people. What? What a fucking ridiculous thing to say. Do you remember those ridiculous stories that came out of COVID? The nonsensical stories of white supremacy and working out. It was absurd. I mean, it was just fucking unhinged lunacy, and people bought it. People stopped going to the gym because they didn't want to be racist. Are you fucking insane? Are you insane? They want people to be fat, docile, and lazy so that when they say, you're going to live in the pod and eat the bugs and you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, you're going to have to sell all your stuff so that you can afford the pod and then you don't have to go to work anymore and you can just plug into the Neuralink. Here's the thing. All these conservatives now are like, oh, I love Elon Musk because Elon Musk was part of the Trump administration. I love Elon. I don't trust Elon. I don't trust that Elon's not a globalist. Really don't. At first, I was like, hey, Elon might be onto something here with this Neuralink. Maybe be able to fix people's brains and make their eyes work and make their legs work if they're born paralyzed. That would be awesome. And now I'm like, Elon, he's in that globalist camp. Why was Elon begging to go to the island? Why are all these billionaires on the list? Why have they all been to the island? There's so many questions that you and I don't and probably never will have the answers to. We are in for the Terminator apocalypse. If we don't do anything now, there will be nothing we can do. I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but I'll leave you with that. So enjoy. I hope you enjoyed. This is a touchy subject for me. I really despise AI, data centers, flock cameras, all this stuff. I despise it. So yeah, that's all I got for you. I'll leave it there. I'll see you all in the next one. And Mike, stop fucking texting me while I'm